Travis Wayne Goodsell. There is indeed trouble in Mormon paradise. And Mormons would rather argue with me and send me death threats and murder me than face the reality. Just had Bill Maher, which, let's check. Let's find out how many views that one segment had.
Europe.
151K in 13 hours. 151K. And that's just those who saw it on YouTube. Not those who have an actual subscription to HBO and watched it through HBO. That's a lot of people who heard him expose the Mormon Church. And so I have 8 views in 2 hours to discuss it. Yeah. See, the church apparently doesn't have the power to shut Bill Maher down. But they sure as hell got the power to shut me down. I refer you to my #1 video. This was when Travis Wayne Goodsell was again shut down because the church didn't like what I was posting there. 7.9K. Wow, that's a big difference from 8 in 2 hours. I'm responsible for that change to the temple text that Nelson changed. The second change to the second power, because I was suing the church. So if you'll notice the Exodus Gods and Kings edited thumbnail, you'll see tornadoes. That's the additional information, additional material, whatever I called it. 11 views in 6 hours. But at least Brigham Young stopped Conference to Save Mormons is at least at 44 views in 14 hours. Yeah, Mormons, I keep warning you. The longer you remain loyal to the church, the longer you live in ignorance about the truth about the church, the greater your fall and faith crisis. You are already humiliated worldwide, except in Russia. Putin doesn't allow HBO in Russia now, I guess. So I've been putting the clip about Joseph Smith's talk, 19 July 1840, that Brigham Young refused to put in the Doctrine and Covenants. It refers to other Doctrine and Covenants passages, especially his parable prophecy to Mormons in section 101 of the Doctrine and Covenants, starting in verse 43, expands upon what he meant by verse 51. There have been a lot of tornadoes prior to tornado season. As it used to be May through July, and now has been adjusted because of this year, March through June. And I haven't been doing weather warnings for quite some time now because too many were sending me death threats and hate mail. Didn't care about people's lives. And so the tornadoes we had all this year, I knew they were coming. Oh, is it some psycho thing I've got going? VentuSky. I saw them in advance on VentuSky.com. I just didn't report them like I used to. And so I'm pretty sure nobody cares that there's one coming Saturday next week. It's going to be huge. But it's in Minnesota and Iowa, so not as many people there. Chicago is the Windy City. They're used to that. Hover in that area all day. It's the first day of Passover, guys. That's why I did the additional information video this morning. There's some stuff going on, and I'm trying to research it and figure it out. This is what I've been doing for the past year. I see lots of signs in the heavens, but no fulfillment of the likeness of things on the earth, except for the war. I called the war in advance. And so yes, the church shut down Travis Wayne Goodsell again. They did not want me to spread the information, and here I am on TWG instead. The church destroyed me. And just like Moses, the church have cast me out. Right before Passover, where creeping death does its worst. We've got a massive tornado on that Saturday, on the first day. I've gone over with you how Brigham Young framed Joseph Smith for polygamy, as he wants to call it God's law, and how it had nothing to do with God's law. It had to do with his desire to take over the United States government, overthrow the world governments, and thus the war. Because I told you right before conference, for which the church was pissed and had YouTube shut off the views for that video. Bring your LDS missionaries home now. So Nelson gets up and says, "It is your duty, young men, teenagers, to go on a mission." Nelson wants your LDS missionaries out in the mission field, but not the sister missionaries. Notice that? He only wants the men to go out into the mission field right now. He wants the women to stay home. Did you catch it? I did. What's gonna happen? The war. And so I've been paying close attention to the war. Unless you forget, Ezekiel chapter 38. Bruce R. McConkie put in the chapter headings. The Battle of Gog and Magog. And please, guys, footnote 2A, please don't say prove that Gog and Magog is Russia. Oh my God. Against Israel shall usher in the second coming. The Lord will come amid war. This is what they think. And I've done the videos ever since Nelson got up and announced it. In a major city yet to be determined in Russia. They made a financial transaction with Putin. Where's the return on their investment? It's the war instead. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints paid for the war in Ukraine. The war. With your tithing money. And they're making a profit off of it. There are some stocks that fell because they pulled out of Russia. Ruble ain't worth much anyway. And so what's going on? They're still fighting. But notice where now. Notice where they pulled out from. They just had 43,000 Syrian mercenaries delivered to Russia, and they pull out. What happened with the pullout when we went in to see what the damage was? Mass graves. And then we saw landmines. So they're just giving up? Because they're not. They're still fighting. This isn't over. You know, there isn't going to be a war tribunal for Putin until he gives up or is conquered. So all this talk about war crimes, it's pretty much worthless right now. We've got to stop him first. And he's not stopping. He knows he can't. Because he's going to be charged as a war criminal. Paid for by Mormon tithing money. Because the church knows that this is what it's all about. The Pope knows. And the Pope is trying to stop it. Because of the Sisters of Fatima. And that's why NATO and Biden will not send in the military is because they know that Putin will make good on his nuclear threats. The day that shall burn as an oven. So when is he going to do it? When would you do it? You know, I would think that he would nuke his troops, but if you need troops to support the Russian capital after doing a nuking, you kind of want to pull some back. This is what I fear. But Joseph Smith, by exposing the Great and Abominable Church and the founder of that Great and Abominable Church in July 1840, also talks about its fall. The church has come under heavy criticism, heavy exposure. With the Boy Scouts abandoning them, with lawsuits, maybe in one of them that you don't know about. You've heard of the others, Kay Birmingham, James Huntsman, but you didn't hear about me, and I'm the one that made the biggest impact on your life. Because the church doesn't want you to know about me. They want me dead. And so pedophilia and sex trafficking are on the rise here in Utah. It's getting ugly. Mormons have no desire to be good, let alone actually worship the false god that they believe they worship, who preaches love from the gospel from the Gospels. Because we're learning of the Jews, Mormons. We're not Christian. Our God is Amen. And you have betrayed and abandoned him like you abandoned Joseph Smith, as you claim he's Christian. And so you run and hide. You don't want to watch what's not faith promoting. And you just increase the greater the faith crisis you're about to have. The church purposely wants the men murdered. Preserve as many women as possible and little girls, because look at me, law of chastity. That's what he was upset with me for. But I threw in that he had made changes to resume the law of chastity, of polygamy. Joseph Smith was framed by Brigham Young. And so Wilford Woodruff, in order to become the president of a destroyed church by the United States, so thus he wasn't actually the president, because the church was disincorporated in 1887. Nonetheless, to keep the position and keep out of jail, he had to give the official declaration But it took Grover Cleveland another 4 years to pardon Mormons. And so you see the punishment that God had for the prophets of the church from Brigham Young for the murder of Joseph Smith. Now they're wanting to restore polygamy again, and they have to destroy the world to do it. Despite the horrific sex crimes that are going on in our government being exposed, and among the rich elites. I've just been wanting to protect you guys, because if ex-Mormons think that I'm not talking to you guys, you're not catching on. You live here in Utah, you are in bondage to the church, just as Mormons are. You need to be freed too. My information is for you. But you need to be corrected on what you've been lied to about the lies that the church is covering up. For example, Brigham Young framed Joseph Smith as a polygamist. And I don't think you quite understand the level of evil that the church is involved with. The depths of evil that they will go. That they will murder, destroy people's lives to protect themselves. And yes, it is a miracle I'm still around. But as I said, I have been asked to leave. I will be able to give a response, and then there will be a period of weeks for the other to respond. All the while, they know I have no access to funding for my life. They are purposely torturing and terrorizing through all this process, even though they know it would be wrongful during this process, illegal. The church doesn't care anymore. The church wants me gone. They have had it. But I've gotten the word out, and this is it. And so, if God is going to actually provide the likeness of things on the earth with the signs in the heavens, I'm sure hoping for it. But it means it'll be this Friday night. And Saturday there's going to be a massive tornado, or set of tornadoes, all in that area. Just like in the thumbnail, just like in the movies, just like in the text. And so I have no idea how anybody is going to fulfill prophecy. For example, Joseph Smith prophesies of this event in section 103, verse 16. Therefore I will raise up unto my people a man who shall lead them, like as Moses led the children of Israel. For ye are the children of Israel and the seed of Abraham, and ye must be led out of bondage by power and with an outstretched arm. And as your fathers were led at first, even so shall the redemption of Zion be. There's a latter-day Exodus with a latter-day man like Moses. And I cannot get enough to learn who he is. I have found out this morning about the conception of the man like Moses. Isaiah says, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son. I've given you the birth. And so this morning I have the information for the conception. But what does it matter now? YouTube will not allow you to watch. YouTube will not allow Mormons to find out the truth and save themselves. And so how are Mormons going to fulfill this? Mormons don't even know this guy, let alone follow him. Ain't gonna happen. YouTube has to give up, has to deny the church so that people can finally know the truth and get Bill Maher-sized viewing audiences. And unfortunately, it's only going to be a small few who are going to know. But yeah, for the past year we've had tons of signs, but only the war as the likeness of things on the earth. There have been other stuff that have been fulfilled according to the signs in the heavens previously, and I've been doing those videos as they happen. But this is the one I'm looking for. Because without the fall of the great and abominable church, there will be no Exodus. Without an Exodus, there will be no Zion, redemption of Zion. And without the redemption of Zion, there will be no place of safety, refuge, and peace for Mormons. At least those who believe, anyway. We don't want any Laman and Lemuels tagging along. You can go back to Jerusalem, guys. You have fun with that. I did the video once. The elders of Israel, come join now with me. Hearken, O you people of my church, because it's not Jesus' church. Whose church are you a part of, Mormons? Because that location is where the place that God purchased Zion with money. It was in 1363 when that purchase occurred, and that land will be under tornado watch or warning or whatever the severity is for Passover. Right smack in that area. Isn't that interesting? I know. What's 1363, you're asking? This is the final innings, guys.